The focus continues to be on the future of small town New Zealand, regional New Zealand, with a leading academic adding to the conversation this morning, saying that, quote, tough conversations are needed. So we've seen Winstone Pulp close in the Ruapehu district. We've now got Alliance proposing to shut its meatworks in Timaru. That alone is hundreds of jobs gone, potentially hundreds of people flying off to Australia. Senior Lecturer of Geography at Otago University, Dr. Sean Connolly, says the towns can be built back up if they're prepared to adapt to a new reality. So, is there anything the government can do to help with this? Shane Jones is the Minister for Regional Development. Kia ora.
Kia ora, greetings folks.
Are you worried that we are going to lose some of our small towns?
Well, we're going through a major structural adjustment, whether we like it or not, here in our economy. It's not just to do with COVID, but land use changes are taking place. Energy prices, largely driven by the need to achieve certain climate goals, are sadly driving industry, if not to a smaller size, potentially out of New Zealand, and I don't like it.
So hang on, do you think that the decline of regional populations is all down to the response to climate change?
Well, if we're not going to maintain access to gas and coal during a managed transition, and we're going to continually make it more difficult through regulations for farmers to sustain production, we are going to see a contraction of the economy around some of our small towns.
We've been experiencing a contraction in those populations for decades, though, haven't we?
Well, what keeps those populations going, though, is the local economy. And one thing that we've been really good at in New Zealand, or certainly in my lifetime anyhow, has been the production of food. Like I just had the people from the vegetable growers in my office last week. They find that the regulations pertaining to their water utilisation, the application of fertiliser, has become so restrictive that they fear that we're going to go towards importing more food rather than growing it ourselves. So it's time for a reset.
So what else can the government do from a policy perspective to keep those small towns thriving?
Well, I think I personally think I've delivered, because a lot of those small towns you're referring to, certainly on the coast, they depend on aquaculture. And when we take a pragmatic view about regulation, for example, I extended all the marine farming permits through till 2050. That leaves more money in the business. People have the confidence to invest. And that's a growth industry for New Zealand, and it is going to sustain a lot of small towns that have been, in Struggler's Gully.
What other, like from a migration perspective, are there immigration settings that you could tinker with that might help to support regional New Zealand? Well,
I don't know how many of the workers associated with Alliance Meatworks were Kiwis, and how many were, say, not RSC workers, but migrant labour. There is a need in some cases for migrant labour. But my main point is land use change is taking place. There is a situation where a lot of dairy dislocated sheep farmers, some forestry dislocated sheep farmers, but these are the owners of land and property making decisions that they feel are in the best interests of them and their families, and that's having an impact on local industry. Okay, so what do we do? Do we go through to a central planning model, or do we give more power to local government to stop land use changes? One of the great gems of genius in our system in New Zealand is that you've been able to change the way in which you use land to chase outcomes that generate the best economic return.
Hey, I'm not sure if you saw it at the weekend. They've had a couple of massive public meetings around Manawatu and Horowhenua regarding the prospect of road tolling. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I got questioned on that during my meeting at Bulls. All I'd say to your listeners is that I come from Taitokedo, and every time we, the Ngāpuhis, every time we drive north, we pay a toll. And we've been doing that for a long time. A toll was never imposed on the Golden Highway, in the Golden Triangle, when Stephen Joyce upgraded the roads in and around Hamilton down towards Cambridge, and perhaps an opportunity was missed there. But, I'd call for a bit of fairness here. Obviously, any toll has to be informed by equity, but I'd remind the people of Manawatu, those of us who live in Taitokedo in the north, we already pay a toll every time we leave Auckland.
And finally, I saw you got into a bit of a scrap this afternoon. Well, not really a scrap, but a bit of a Barney on Lambton Quay with some climate protesters. What happened?
Oh, look, I went down to get a haircut. They were originally they were originally in front of Parliament, and I missed them, so I was going down for a haircut.
So you ended up giving one instead.
Well, they were pretty keen to figuratively sculpt me, but that was a bit of a war of words, but nothing too damaging. But hey, I'm a rhetorician, so I should expect a bit of the return fire from time to time.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. That is Shane Jones.